Girls Night Man Edition.
What's up, everybody? No, it is not actually girls' night. I just threw that in there for fun. If you've been around Inside the Booth a long time, you know that we do girls' night here. But I have an awesome cast or guest list of men. But I thought it'd be so funny just to have Girls Night Man Edition today. So no offense to the guys backstage, but you're on Girls Night Man Edition. But anyway, I am Tabitha. Welcome to Inside the Booth. If you are new here, we're glad that you have joined us. And if you are familiar with what we do around here, you're probably thinking to yourself, where's Dan? And Dan is out doing Danly things. And as one of my guests had asked, what does that mean? I don't know. But he's just taking a nice little vacation. He will be back Sunday night at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time in the evening, back for more action, back for more shows. He's just taking a little bit of much needed R&R. But we're glad that you are here. And tonight we are be talking about possibly a controversial topic, being the best and worst choices for James Bond through the decades. This is quite a beloved franchise, and among men and women, but it should be very interesting to see the take tonight as we battle it out to see. I won't say who's right or wrong because everybody has their own opinions, but you know, some of the people are going to be wrong. Like, you just know it, right? If they don't align, I'm just kidding. But let's just go ahead and bring out our guests, our awesome panel. And if you enjoy what you see here and you like the people that we've brought on to the night show, give us a like, vanquish the like button. And if you enjoy the show, subscribe as well. But let's go ahead and bring on the rogue attraction. And of course, Zort. Can't forget Zort.
Hello. How are you doing?
He's a proud member of the internet too. I'm doing well. How are you? Staying safe in Florida, I hope.
Yeah. Bunkered down. Hopefully it'll just be a tropical storm and no hurricane, because 2 a year is enough. And this is my second one. So no more after this.
No more. You're going to have a talk with Jesus. Tell him all about it and say no more.
Humble request.
Request. What is it that you do on your YouTube channel, by the way?
Well, so I go to theme parks a lot, and I also travel around different parts of Florida. That's going to be expanding to more things that attract us to fandoms. So actually, Tabitha's going to be helping me with that a little bit, with doing some reviews of the Santa Claus TV show on Disney Plus. But mainly theme parks, helpful hints and tips and tricks, and gorging myself on bad food. I'm eating healthy now, only salads.
Right. Well, because the holidays are upon us, so we have to eat healthy now so that we can just, fill ourselves up at Thanksgiving, of course. That's awesome. So yeah, if you're looking to enhance your visit to Universal Studios or Disney World, check out Rogue's channel. He and Zort have some interesting adventures there. Next on our list would be The Maker, Josh Watts. And he is part of the Star Wars room builders. And what is it that you do exactly on your channel?
Well, on my channel, I try to, a lot of it is focusing on Star Wars builds, but I also do woodworking, and I do a little bit of in-home renovation. Some of it is the process of me renovating my own home. And just documenting the process of pretty much anything that I make. I mean, some of it might even be like Lego builds and stuff like that. I just like to make stuff. So
I love what you've done with your home already. That background is stupendous.
It's wonderful.
Yeah. So that's awesome.
It's the best I've ever made.
And yeah, if you guys enjoy watching people build stuff, Star Wars things, he's made a really awesome holocron. You want to go check out his channel. It's a pretty amazing little piece of work there. And next on our list is the capable gentleman, also known as Lee.
Greetings, everybody.
Thank you for being here. I love the fact that you're the only person with like this vibrant green color in the background, because a lot of YouTubers do the red, they do the blue, the purple, as Rogue and I are doing here, but you have thought outside the box. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Looks so good with your skin tone. Yeah. So good.
Has a nice sinister villain look.
Nice, exactly. So what is it that you do on your channel?
So my channel is all about helping young men just to better themselves, be a little more capable, hence the name, The Capable Gentleman. Actually, James Bond was my inspiration. I mean, he is just a gentleman. He is so capable and can totally handle himself in any situation. And I want to be able to be like a mentor, a big brother to the young men out there who are looking to kind of just better themselves, embrace the masculinity, and just be an all-around gentleman, right? We're kind of missing that in society today. So I just want to help bring that back.
We really truly are. I was going to have a little quip there about capability. I was like, well, you know, James Bond, I don't know that he's capable to do. I don't know if he's capable to like hang a guitar on the wall, as I was mentioning, as you were shouted out the other day.
I bet he could figure it out. I bet he could figure it out if he had to.
Check out Capable Gentleman's channel. He teaches people how to put guitars on walls. That's the best shout out I've ever heard for your channel.
It was fantastic, and I love my brother so much. But no, I mean, just you got your own place, and you need little things to do or to fix or make repairs, even on your car, your home. And then, some self-care there as well. So it's just kind of an all-around channel for
the handy. Yeah. You'll be proud of me. I cleaned out the pipes of my sink today. So I, too, am a capable gentleman. With that being said, we're going to bring on Marc with a C, the gospel according to Marc. Hello, sir. Thank you so much for being here.
Good evening.
Nice. Wow. We just needed the creaky door. Like, so, their channel, the gospel according to Marc. What exactly is that all about? Might not be what people think.
Yeah, it definitely isn't. The gospel according to Marc with a C is the important part, with a C, because that's what my mom named me, M-A-R-C, and my whole life people have always spelled it M-A-R-K. So I probably spent a good amount of my life saying, no, that's Marc with a C, with a C. And then, when, of course, you read the Bible, it's the gospel according to Marc. And even that is with a K. So it's just my wise guy way of, just saying it's the gospel according to Marc with a C.
They love you at Starbucks, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a 4-letter name. You'd be surprised how bad it can be butchered, but for some reason it's tricky to a lot of people.
I've seen
that's what it is, just my truth.
Yeah. Just your truth about what in particular? What exactly is your channel all about?
It's about my observations in the world. I'm into all of the sci-fi stuff and sci-fantasy. That's how I grew up, reading comics and everything. But once you saw that so much of this crazy narrative that's out there began to seep into the things that I was using for escapist fantasy fun, once I started seeing that, I was like, okay, the worlds are kind of colliding, because all of the social stuff that I've been seeing and really not saying anything, I'm pretty much a quiet guy by nature. But, once my son was born, who I talk about a lot, I realized I can't really be quiet and just let him inherit the world as it is without at least countering it with some common sense, because a lot of kids out here really think that there's something wrong with them because they're getting into this world that's crazy. They don't know what to make of it. They don't know what to make of their place in the world. It's kind of like what Lee was saying over there. It's like they do need some guidance. Yeah. So, I think it falls on all of us who are, who have been around for a little while, who have seen some things, to reach back and say, listen, we care, we really do. And we're just not going to leave you like a deer in headlights to people who might not mean you well. So I use my channel in a humorous way. Sometimes it's a little bit over people's heads because I just don't want to go straight at it. I do want to have some type of entertainment value also. So it can get misunderstood. Sometimes people think I'm making light of things, but, people have to want to watch too. They don't just want a bunch of finger wagging. So
right. That's what we have Twitter for. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Be sure to check out Marc's channel there with a C. And I've linked it down below so you don't have to type it in case you forget. And
I just want to say too, thank you for giving me the opportunity to explain that. I don't do it enough, and usually that whole gospel thing has thrown people off. You know, they've come to me for like religious advice,
right?
And then when they get rude and get cursed out, it's like, you're not very gospel. And well, you know, that's kind of not what it was. But
right, it's kind of like a conversation starter, or yeah, exactly. Nice little catchphrase there for sure. I love his take on different topics. Be sure to check him out. And our last guest for the evening, I didn't want it to be just me and the dudes like it normally is. So tonight I've also got another lady in the house with her man and dog. Apparently, we're a family tonight. It is Dani from Comics and Cosmetics and Dave,
yeah,
who from what I understand is a huge James Bond buff, from what I've been told. Is that correct?
Oh, liar. He totally is.
Okay.
When we were first dating, he probably sent me a 6-page long text explaining James Bond to me. So
Wow.
And you were like, I need to be with that man.
Well, I was like, is this what it's like when I talk to you about Wonder Woman?
Okay. See, that's the love story Disney needs to talk about. So, Dani, you've been on here before for Girls' Night. Always a pleasure to have you around. But for those that might be new to the channel, can you just quickly tell us what it is that you do on Comics and Cosmetics?
Well, as you said, my name is Dani. I'm a licensed cosmetologist and registered super nerd. And on Comics and Cosmetics, at least once a week, I talk about whatever nerdy topic I've been obsessing about that week while doing my makeup inspired by that topic at the same time. I do character breakdowns, story breakdowns. I just started kind of going into history. I just talked about the Comics Code Authority and how that came into fruition. And that the guy who inspired it actually just lied his butt off the entire time just to make money and get attention. So
Man, I'm just kidding. No, Dani does amazing work. She has some fantastic makeup there. We did I would say it was a collaboration together, a Bob Ross collaboration not too long ago, where as I am an artist myself, I did some oil painting of a landscape, and Dani put a landscape on her face. So if you would like to see that, it was actually amazing because she did it on her eyelids. She had mountains, trees, she had the sky, she had the clouds.
we had happy little trees
everywhere. It was brilliant.
Accidents. There was
Bob Ross on her face.
She did Bob Ross on her face.
That's
just
incredible.
on my eyelids.
Just on her eyelids. Yeah.
Oh wow.
And then
The
I
world's
got
tiniest canvas.
aqua colored liquid eyeliner all in my eyeballs, and I went blind for a minute. And I left that in.
You did. Well, now that we've
left it in the video, or left it in your eye?
Both. Because it took a long time to get it out.
Well, now that we have all been introduced and we know each other better and the chat knows us, by the way, chat, thank you so much for being here. Be sure to hit the like button while you're viewing this. But we're going to go ahead and get into our topic. We're going to go around the table, if you will. I'll go ahead and start us off just because I'm in Dan's corner and I feel powerful. So I'm going to start us off with the best and worst James Bond. We're going to go around and just talk about our best James Bonds first, give everybody a chance to do that, and we'll come back around and do our worst. So get ready, everybody. Buckle up. It should be interesting. So, okay. I grew up with James Bond. My dad's a huge fan of it. I've seen pretty much all of them, if I remember correctly. And I have to say that, honestly, for me, I use the word best loosely. I'm going to say my favorite, and put it that way. My favorite James Bond is actually Pierce Brosnan. I loved him in GoldenEye. I just thought it was a fantastic film. I thought he had a lot of elegance, but that manly quality that he brings to the table. And he had gray hair. Not that actually, that does matter. You know, for James Bond, you know, he's not really going to get all the babes if he's bald. Let's just be real. Come on now. Not that bald man can't get the women, but I'm just saying if he was like starting to lose his
Easy
hair.
now.
You know, yeah, exactly. Leo's over there rocking it like, yeah, oh, exactly. But I'm talking about like, you know, the dad hairdo. You know what I'm saying? Like it's starting
Like
to fizzle
that?
out. It looks pretty good to me. And so for me, I thought that he was good. I really liked The World Is Not Enough. I won't say it's the best James Bond movie by far for sure, but I really liked the way that he presented James Bond in that era when I was younger. And so does anybody hate Pierce Brosnan? Just real quickly ask.
No, I don't think I hate Pierce
No.
Brosnan. I
strong
hear that a
word.
lot actually. Pierce Brosnan, because of what was that TV show he was in? Tom probably knows.
Remington Steele.
Remington Steele, yeah, he had a lot of already established fan base from Remington Steele, and then when he took the Bond role, so I'm not surprised that somebody says Pierce is one of their favorites. I don't hate him; it's not mine, but I don't. Hate him.
Right. I mean, I thought he was handsome, you know, but not in a weird way. Like
He had the best Bond women, I would think.
oh,
There's a different take.
That's a different take.
That's next episode. This episode's about Bond. That's another channel.
That's right.
I
Inside
find
the Booth
his movies are like looking back on them. I think they were kind of underrated. When I look back on them, I'm like, yeah, he actually did bring a lot to that role. So I'm not mad at that. Yeah, definitely.
I mean, what was it? Was it Die Another Day? I don't think was one of his best.
That between that one and Tomorrow Never Dies, I think it was.
I like Tomorrow Never Dies.
Really?
Yeah, I think I like that one. It had with Michelle Yeoh, right?
Yeah.
Tomorrow
Never Dies was.
Yeah.
That was.
I was thinking The World Is Not Enough. That's what I was thinking. No, you're right. Tomorrow Never Dies. But so that would be my best, my favorite. Rogue, what is your answer? Surprise me.
Timothy Dalton.
He was on my list, but I went with Pierce.
Honestly, so I came to Bond from my dad. My dad was always a Connery guy. That was his Bond. I think Dalton was closer to Ian Fleming's view of Bond.
Really?
When I look at the books and stuff like that, I think Dalton actually
even
had
after Connery.
I would have thought that Brosnan was closest, but I mean, you know, interesting. Go ahead and hear your take.
First of all, I love License to Kill. That's actually one of my favorite Bond films. It's box.
Did he freeze?
Uh-oh.
Storm.
So, there are storms in Florida. So Tom has Rogue Attractions got sensitive internet. Speak from experience there, trying to.
We will bring him back when he
with,
comes
Rogue.
back, and allow for some grace there. Actually, I cut him off because I didn't like what he had to say.
Poor Timothy Dalton. He gets such a bad.
He does get a bad rap, though.
Okay, I liked him. I liked Timothy Dalton.
I didn't mind him either. He was right in the middle of the. I think there was a writer strike going on, and they tried to work his second movie during that strike, and it really suffered. And then they decided after the strike was resolved, they were like, all right, let's just go in a different direction altogether. And that's when they brought in Pierce. So Timothy Dalton, I feel he's not my favorite either, but he never really got a fair shake at taking
not really
where he wanted to go. But
he didn't have he didn't have a lot of opportunity, really.
Sketchy Guy says Timothy Dumpton was the worst ever. Wow. Okay, he was phenomenal as Mr. Pricklepants. Okay,
I was getting ready to say I liked him of that. Actually, I liked him as the villain in Chuck.
Yes, he makes for an excellent villain. Well, then, Josh, the maker. So we are calling you Josh. Go ahead and give us your best while we wait.
Well, I think part of it also it depends on the setting of the movie. But to me, it's kind of a toss-up. I really liked Pierce Brosnan. To me, I think he fit the actual character of James Bond that Ian Fleming wrote about as far as the looks and everything. But I also love the grittiness of the Daniel Craig James Bond. Granted, I didn't like, I think like two of his movies, but I did like that he was more there was like a theory that came out at one point that the name James Bond is more of like a code name, and that's why they always look so different. And also,
but they don't really.
So I mean, Daniel Craig and Roger Moore were the only ones that really went off the beaten path as to what he looked like.
That theory is lame, and I hate that theory that James Bond is a code name.
It's not.
Why would they give you a code name and a code number?
Yeah, I kind of agree with that.
Your number's 007.
It's interesting, but I don't really agree with it. The only thing that I did like was that I think that James Bond would be more bland, if you will, in the face to go ahead and blend in with other people. But then again, he
wouldn't be some uber hot guy making an impression on everybody when he walks in a room.
Right. I mean, realistically, if you want to be realistic about it, you kind of want to go ahead and blend into the background. But because you're trying to
put everybody.
You're trying to be subtle. Wow, everything's jumbled.
Sorry,
there's no easy over here.
There's no easy way to do that.
Hair.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
You were combing your hair. Well, that's all right.
But that's my take.
Okay, no. Rogue, would you like to finish your thought?
Yeah, I'm sorry. So,
it's not your fault.
A neighbor's tree fell down and took down a power line. Luckily, they rediverted quickly.
Snap.
The nerve! You need new neighbors.
I can't do anything about it, but it's a hurricane in Florida coming, so yeah. Timothy Dalton, License to Kill, was my first Bond movie I remember watching myself. I was about 6, so that was the first film that I watched. I feel like whatever your first Bond is, it's like your first of anything. That'll be your favorite. It's imprinting, right? So I didn't watch Connery as my first.
I get that.
I didn't watch Connery as my first Bond or Brosnan. My first was License to Kill, which came out in '89. I watched that movie, I think, when I was 6, about 150 times. I killed the VHS. I killed it. It was just so, in my view, it was so cool. Now, I watched the Connery ones with my dad, and I respect Connery. It was just that everyone has their Bond.
Mm-hmm.
So, like the same way Tabitha Pierce Brosnan was probably the first one you saw, right?
It wasn't.
I feel like there's more you want to say about Connery.
No, because honestly, for me, the first one I saw was Timothy Dalton in The Living Daylights.
I think I saw Roger most like it was either Sean Connery or Roger Moore was my first James Bond.
I think
Rogue wants to pick on Connery a little bit. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Actually, Connery is my second favorite. He embodies the best charm of Bond.
Really?
I think he has masculine charm versus Roger Moore's playboy charm.
I get that.
He has more of like the old man strength kind of deal. Like he doesn't need to show off. I think that's my.
See, I was about to say you mean like Lee until you said old man strength.
Well, no, like
what does that even mean?
So old man strength means the strength that you don't have to show off. So if someone looks at you and you don't have to look muscular, you don't have to look built, but they know looking at you that you will take them out.
Okay.
I was thinking it was more brain drawn, but
it was just called confidence.
Right.
Well, it's every son's afraid of their father because of that old man strength that they will still at whatever age kick your butt. You know what I mean? So that's where it comes from a little bit. Like the Connery had that air to him.
Therapy time with Rogue. Tell us all about it. No, it's okay. So that is an interesting take. I hear what you're saying about. Yeah, definitely would agree about. Minus the old man strength terminology, I agree with what you're saying. I guess we'll go down. So we went over to Josh. We'll go over to the capable gentleman waiting so decently over there in the corner. Oh, he's got his hands
a Bond
together.
villain.
Like, look at that.
Thank you.
He's sitting there like Blofeld. All he needs is to be stroking his cat.
If I had one, the cat would be here for sure. So I have to go with Sean Connery, right? So he set the bar. He is a perfect description of the character, in my opinion. I think Ian Fleming actually changed the description of Bond once he saw Sean Connery. He made him wasn't originally Scottish, of Scottish descent, and then he added that into some of his writings and things like that. So a lot of things that went on in that area didn't have any special effects, no CGI, and he just set the bar for phenomenal films. and everybody just latched on, and they couldn't wait for the next Bond film to come out. So he set the bar very high. I also got to lean towards Daniel Craig. He took the Bond character into a new era. He rebooted the character. Casino Royale was a phenomenal movie, and Daniel Craig has starred in Skyfall, which is my absolute favorite Bond film. Not based on any of the books. It's just based on the character of Bond. They go back to his childhood. They talk about him becoming an orphan. I thought was a fantastic
You're
film.
a wizard, Harry. Sorry. It's always the orphan ploy, you know.
Yes.
Why couldn't he be
Orphans make the
raised by
best recruits.
Why couldn't he have been raised by a single mom? I'm just saying.
But I mean, he was not Daniel Craig. They goofed on him right from the start. They called him James Blonde because he had blonde hair. He was nothing like the description that Ian Fleming wrote in the books.
Right.
But he handled that reboot of the character, I thought amazing. And no, he's got some Quantum of Solace was not the best film, not the best Bond film. It wasn't horrible, but compared to the others, it's way down on the list. No Time to Die. I think there's a lot of moving pieces to that final Bond film. To get Daniel Craig back in the Tom Ford suit, he wanted certain things to take place in that film, and we can spoil, right? All right, can we talk about No Time?
It's been out for a while. I would think
it's been out for a while, so we can. So
James Bond wins. Does he get the girl?
No, he does not. They kill him off in that movie, which I absolutely hated. But there were so many.
I saw that coming anyway, though, too, man.
So yeah, No Time to Die.
I honestly think that was the worst out of it.
You must have found the time somewhere.
The James Bond panel, and you haven't seen the latest James Bond film?
I haven't.
Well, I'm ruining it for you. So
I was going to say.
Actually,
it's funny. I told my father-in-law that he caught the COVID and he died from COVID.
Could happen.
Which is not that far of a stretch.
He didn't get the jab. He was protesting.
That's right. Because he tried to. It just would have bent in his arm due to his old man strength. Mark, what is your take? What's your best? What do you think is the best? Or who?
It's got to be Sean Connery. If Sean Connery hadn't done it first, I don't even know if that franchise would have went as far as it did, because he hit it so hard. He broke through so well. And if it were up to me, James Bond would have stayed a period piece. It would have stayed in the 60s, because Bond has had to conform to the times. Like what you saw with Daniel Craig, everybody wanted someone more or less chauvinistic and everything. And Bond is supposed to be that. He's supposed to be smooth. He's supposed to be that guy that women want and men want to be with. Men want to be. Well, listen, if you're a man who wants to be with James Bond, no judgment. But I'm just saying, when it comes to his line delivery, he was rough around the edges, but he was still smooth. He was everything that I want James Bond to be. And he wasn't my Bond when I was growing up. I found out about him later. So when I went back and I watched him, I'm like, I've been doing this wrong. This guy is James Bond. He is the definitive James Bond to me. And I just love him. Even when he was out of character, when you saw him in other things, you still saw Sean Connery just had this thing about him that he embodied a lot of those characteristics naturally. And I think that's why he was able to have the impact that he did, because he played it so naturally.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy because every time I see Sean Connery, I always think that he's either Dr. Jones or the commander of the Red October.
That's how I remember Sean Connery.
That's how I remember it.
When he was older, Hunt for Red October. Like that's my Sean Connery, if you will.
Yeah.
And who can forget him in The Untouchables?
He was
fantastic. It's been a while since I've seen that. Yeah. It's been a while since I've seen it, but yeah, I remember that. No, the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. That's what it was.
I'm sorry. I can't take Sean Connery seriously after Zardoz. I'm sorry.
Oh, I don't ever want to see that.
Oh, he looked so good in that onesie.
Thank you,
know-
R2, the Icky. Somebody understands the brilliance of Sean Connery in The Untouchables. Holy
That's
crap.
the Chicago way.
Sorry.
I agree.
Well,
I will
Uh-huh.
say,
mhm.
you guys are kind of right in one way because Sean Connery does
we
have the
know.
highest.
You don't have to tell us. We know.
He has the highest box office gross for any of the Bonds at like
Oh.
4.
Oh,
Did you
4
just look
million.
that up?
Of course he did.
I've had it ready.
Why do you think he's
I
been
haven't
quiet?
had
He's been so
box
quiet.
office
Data over
grosses.
there.
He's getting
I'm
his
sorry.
facts straight over there.
But I mean, so I
he's
grew
the
up with
GOAT,
Roger
man.
Moore.
Mm.
Like
Roger
that
Moore's
was
second.
my first Bond film, Roger Moore, and I thought his voice was like, oh wow, he's got this English accent. It was great, and I really started getting into Bond, and then discovered Connery, and was like, okay, he's on another level than Roger Moore. Even though Roger Moore has the most films, but to be honest, though, the stuff they put in the films with Connery would never fly in today's mainstream media. Like
oh
in
no,
cinema
no,
today.
no.
No way would it fly. He's like smacking women on the behind, saying, "Okay, get lost, man talk." You know, that's never gonna fly.
Dude,
In
one
the
of his
movie
leading
today.
ladies was named Galore.
Yes.
Okay,
Mhm.
it's like
Nicely done.
that is.
Yeah.
And his line was,
you appreciate that, right, Tabitha?
It was
myself.
beautifully done.
Yeah. Okay.
and he
Oh,
says,
yeah.
"I must be dreaming."
That's great, man. That's great.
Well,
great.
so Dani and Dave, like who? I'm gonna give it the option. Like, why? You know what? Dave's first time here. Dave, why don't you go first?
Yes, I want to hear Dave because he sent like what a 6-page text all
Right.
about
We
Right.
gotta know
explaining
his
Bond.
point
So
of view.
like Dave is my new best friend. We just met, and I want to
He's
hear
gonna be the
all this. I'm
epitome,
paying
man.
close attention here.
To me, this is a very tough thing to answer because the progression throughout the years and it's like comparing Daniel Craig's to like the fight scenes in that compared to Sean Connery's and how lame that stuff looks now. I mean, I grew up watching those guys. I loved them. Sean Connery was kind of the first. I would say he's probably more original favorite. I would say overall Daniel Craig, because the way they developed Bond and that character, that was what I would see in a real world situation.
More realistic of them all is what you're trying to say.
Yeah, but honestly, in a lot of ways, I'm a big fan of George Lazenby.
Yes, I was hoping somebody would say that.
On Her Majesty's Secret Service was by far one of my favorites.
That's my favorite.
Mostly because the storyline, he gets married, the loss. I don't know if it still is, but at the time it was one of the longest. It was the longest James Bond film. It's the only one the guy did.
Yeah.
But he was a really good encompassing James Bond. He was a good-looking dude, but he wasn't overly good-looking. He was
The puffy shirt Bond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shut up, Ricky.
I don't want to be a pirate. Okay.
Scottish.
I was getting ready to say.
He was wearing his kilt. But that one, I really liked that one a lot, and I wish he would have done more. But I guess the fact that he didn't is part of the intrigue.
That was his sister.
But Timothy Dalton, though, before Daniel Craig came along, and before it's not so much the Bond. Sometimes it's the directors and the writers of the movie itself in making those guys so good. Because if Daniel Craig would have had 90s fight scenes, like Pierce did. I mean, because Pierce was my favorite. Back, I wanted to see him become Bond back in Timothy Dalton days, and he eventually did, and they were amazing. And then I go back and watch him now, and it's got some of the worst writing I've ever seen in my life. Some of the worst lines. Christmas only comes once a year. I mean, it was terrible.
Don't you hate when you love
terrible.
a character and then you grow up and go back and you're like, why?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I feel that way about a lot of the old Bond movies, but they're still nostalgic. I mean, Connery was definitely a favorite in a lot of ways, but to me, it's really hard to pinpoint because as they change, each one of them had good films individually. Some not so great, some better than others.
So, On Her Majesty's Secret Service is a film that does not get a lot of love because of George Lazenby taking the place of Sean Connery.
Right.
There's a couple of pieces of the writing in there where they, he's like, this never happened to the other guy. I mean,
Right.
that's clearly they're talking about Sean Connery. So if you put Sean Connery, who everybody loved, in that film, that's probably that takes that film to another level. But
For sure.
it's such an underappreciated film. I love On Her Majesty's Secret Service. Actually, I'm going to share this tab if I may. I am wearing for this.
Oh, nice.
The 50th anniversary of On Her Majesty's Secret Service Omega Seamaster that they released.
Darn.
Wow.
Right there.
Wow.
Did you steal that
Funky.
from the movie set or something? Or
I'll never tell. I'll never tell.
That sounds
Damn.
expensive.
yeah, it looks. Is it heavy?
Yes.
Then it's expensive.
Right.
Put it back.
Put it back. Well, Dani, what is your take? Do you disagree with Dave? Do you agree with
No.
him?
No, I agree entirely. In fact, we spent a couple weeks where I'd never seen a Bond movie before. So every night when we had dinner, we would watch a Bond movie, and On Her Majesty's Secret Service was the first one we watched. And I loved it. I love George Lazenby as James Bond. He is my favorite because I feel like he's the smoothest. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't have to
He
say
didn't
much.
care.
Yeah.
He didn't care
Did
much.
not give a rip. And
Yeah.
it was just such a flawless, easy, confident, manly man Bond that was just happy to be there.
You're so right. He was like cracking a safe open while reading a Playboy magazine in the film,
Yeah.
right? He was just sitting back, just
He was great. And they offered him $1 million literally under the table. Like they slid a briefcase under the table saying, we'll give you $1 million to do another one because it did so well. And he was like, nah, I think I'm going to grow a beard and get it fine.
yeah.
Go up in the
Lazenby was so
wilderness.
anti-Hollywood.
Become
Yeah,
Australian.
But
I feel like-
I love the movie. I love George Lazenby. For my worst.
Wait, we're not doing worst yet.
Oh, we're not?
No.
Not quite.
We are. We've done that.
He was
So
about
you've
to go
just
there.
you've just given us your best. So now
Yeah.
we're coming back full circle, and I'm going to start off with where you're on track. You weren't here for the debriefing.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
for
My
it.
kids
You were busy
playing her-
supporting your family, for crying out loud, instead
she
of
was
being
playing
on
her
YouTube.
dad's flute.
So okay, so for me, the worst, and people again, worst, best, they're subjective, they're kind of heavy words to use here. I will say that Daniel Craig was honestly when he first came on scene was my least liked because he was so different.
Ouch.
And he was, because he looked so different. I don't think he's that attractive, and he has amazing piercing blue eyes, but he's just he's not the smooth English gentleman. He is a hardy looking man. And as I've gotten older,
But that's the point.
no,
Yes.
I'm trying to get there, Lee.
Okay,
Gosh.
sorry. You're insulting
So-
my man.
There's not a
I'm
man on
taking
earth that
offense.
can do the shit James Bond does and not look like Daniel Craig.
Well, okay, so as I got older, so I typically, like if I grow up on something, I don't want it to change, right? And so James Bond's always been the very aristocratic, smooth kind of guy. So then when he came on the scene, I'm like, man, this is totally different. But kind of like what Dave was saying, it is a more believable James Bond. So he's not my favorite, but he was at the time my least favorite, Daniel Craig. Now, honestly, this is where, Lee, it's about to get a whole lot worse. Hold on to your britches.
Hold
I
on.
already know where this is going.
You say
You-
Connery.
Stop up your ears, man.
He's not the worst, but he is not my favorite. He's probably among my least favorite James Bonds. even though he does a good job. I just
Everybody
don't like-
just died. Everybody
I
just stopped
know.
watching now.
I know. Thanks everybody for being here on Inside the Booth. We're just gonna end.
Finally, don't have the worst take.
So I grew up thinking I didn't recognize that he was Sean Connery when I was little, right? I just saw the dude. I grew up identifying Sean Connery as the white-haired bearded guy, and I love him in pretty much anything he's made. I really just didn't enjoy him as Sean Connery, or excuse me, as James Bond.
Glad you corrected that one.
Yeah, so I like Sean Connery a lot. I just never really liked him as James Bond. Sorry, guys. Can we still be friends?
So did you know him as Dr. Jones
Dr. Jones.
before you saw the Bond films? Like, did you see Indiana Jones? in the
Indiana
last
Jones.
movie
Yeah,
first?
sorry, I had to think
Yeah.
about who that was. Yeah, basically any film where he was at that he had the white beard, the white hair. Like I said, Hunt for Red October. Yes, Indiana Jones. Like this is how I grew up with him, and so when I go back and revert, because just kind of became
So
a schmarmy guy.
he played
So
the dad of Indiana Jones so well. If that's what you were exposed to, and then all of a sudden you go back and see him as Bond, I might
Yeah.
give you a pass, but it's a stretch.
oh, it's okay. I don't need you to give me one. So I don't need no man. No. So I'm
You
and
basically
being,
just said Lee's two favorite are your two least favorite.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just like
Yeah.
cut over here.
Why do you
Might as
think
well
I
just-
asked Lee to be here?
Okay.
No, I'm just
He wanted,
kidding.
she wanted to
you.
hurt
She
him
wanted to
bad.
hurt
Wanted
you.
to-
Yeah.
Why do you think we're in opposite corners? on this
She
thing?
also wanted to go ahead and drop viewership apparently too.
No, I'm all about that controversial take. No, I think he did a good job. I think his acting was phenomenal as James Bond. I don't know what's my words going on.
Words are hard.
But-
It's okay.
But I thought he did a good job. He's just not my favorite. He's at the bottom with Roger Moore, to be honest. They both did a good job. I just don't like him. So, Ro, go ahead, hit me.
All right, so
Not
I get the
actually.
easier
Say
thing here a little bit now
I'm
because
gonna go on
my
mute.
taste to be not as hot. So I will agree with one thing. I liked Daniel Craig's first Bond film. I didn't like anyone after that. Really, I respect.
Skyfall was awesome though, man.
Skyfall's so good.
I did
I
like
stopped
Skyfall.
watching after Casino Royale. I did. I
Oh.
watched Mission Impossible instead.
Okay, I'm
You
gonna
can
hurt.
kick him out.
I'm gonna hurt
And-
Lee even more right
I
now.
think you have
Ethan
to
Hunt
out.
over
No.
James Bond.
I think
What?
you gotta pick him now.
Ooh.
And I will say,
Is that what this show is about? It's just a setup.
I will say Roger Moore is probably my least favorite in terms of the vintage era Bonds. I think his Bond was the gadget Bond, which I love the gadgets,
Mhm.
but I didn't need him there. I just needed the gadgets.
I just want the
I could have a
stuff, man.
movie with Q just showing off how the gadget works instead of having Roger Moore there. So I think
Yeah,
I'm just
sure.
salty about this Ethan Hunt thing.
and yes, R2, I have drank out the Holy Grail.
He says he can't be Tom's friend anymore. Joshua, what is your
So,
favorite Bond? I'm curious.
so my least favorite Bond is based off of only one movie. All the other ones I think are okay, but I have to say Roger Moore in Moonraker was very, very bad.
Yeah, I will agree with that. Yeah.
Moonraker was probably the campiest, cheesiest of the James Bond. I mean, it was B-level movie type James Bond, and to me, that's what Roger Moore's movies kind of were kind of campy anyway. I mean,
I liked Live and Let Die.
I did. Live and Let Die was my favorite only because that's probably the first one that he was in. After that is kind of
Nick Ray's
no,
Bond.
but I just
Right.
yeah, with wings, Paul McCartney wings. But yeah, I'd have to say Roger Moore is the worst.
I'm just over here watching Lee's face, and he's just
I'm
like
just so
sad.
irritated.
Fuming.
So irritated.
So go ahead, let it out. He can't even speak.
Let her
guys.
rip.
I can't. I'm just going to talk about the worst Bond. For me,
That's why I
Josh
brought you
took-
here.
He took the words right out of my mouth. Roger Moore, he has the most Bond films, but to me, he is my least favorite Bond. I agree with Rogue. It's the Gadget era. Those movies were so hokey, and they tried to
And
add
cheesy, yeah.
this comic or this comedic writing style, and it just, to me, it didn't work. If you wanted it to be believable, if you wanted to be, if you were a guy that wanted to be like him, it was kind of a goof. And compared to the rest of the films, Roger Moore is my least favorite, and that may not be because of the actor. It may just be because of the films themselves, the writing. I also thought Roger Moore was a bit old. I mean, he was trying to pull this Bond character off in his 50s and hooking up with Bond girls who were in their 20s, and you just kind of
Very possible. Very possible.
Do you
okay,
think
bro,
Totally
but
based
Okay.
in reality, right?
the makeup was really caked on.
The
to make
makeup
him
was
look a lot
bad.
younger. But
Like, look, these women don't have 2 brain cells to rub together. Of course, they slept with Roger Moore,
And then they died. You
right?
sleep with
Okay.
James Bond.
Yeah,
it's a
right.
death
Yeah.
sentence.
These
wasn't one of
Bond
them like a
chicks are
teenage,
just
like a teenage ice skater? Like she was like 19 or something like that, and
Oh,
training
that
for
one.
the Olympics or something. I can't remember what the name of that film was. It escapes
I'm
me.
trying to remember right now too.
But it was almost creepy. Like she was trying to seduce him, and I'm like, gosh, he's old enough to. Yeah, no. Let's fast
Oh
forward.
man,
this
which
part.
one was that one?
maybe he was going through midlife.
James Bond, though.
Right, yeah. I think that was supposed to be the thing about James Bond. He could have any woman he wanted. It didn't matter, you know.
Yeah.
And that's why Daniel Craig is a good Bond, because it wasn't about just getting any woman he wanted. It was about.
But he
his
still did
capability.
anyway.
For the mission.
I'm going to
Right.
say this.
For the mission.
Right.
For the queen, right?
Yeah.
For the
Yes.
good of the
Queen and
country.
Queen and Country.
Yeah.
And for M.
On Her Majesty's Secret Service. That's why he did it. You know, because Daniel Craig, he just did what he had to do. You know, he rarely was about pleasure.
I think
Because
all
Daniel
I'm pretty sure he
Craig
had
era
some
was
pleasure.
great
I'm pretty sure he had
because
some pleasure.
he wasn't the Bond that we knew or that we've come to know in Casino Royale. We saw through Casino Royale in the beginning, he was rough, he was sloppy, he made a mess in the bathroom in the opening scene. He destroyed it. He didn't become the smooth, the smooth Bond, the suave guy, the stylish guy. He was rough until the very end. Then he figured out who he was called to be, and that is the rest of the films that he made. So that's why I like Daniel Craig. But go ahead. You can hate him. It's fine.
Thank you. I will. Go ahead, Mark, your turn.
I'm glad I got your permission for that one because Daniel Craig is trash. Sorry. Yeah, he's my
Shots
least favorite.
fired.
Well, he gave me permission. He said it's okay. So, I mean, look, the way I saw Daniel Craig, he was kind of like a product of the Bourne identity, the Bourne supremacy. Like that was the same type of kinetic action, jumping out of one window, 2 stories down into another window, chasing somebody down the block. I just didn't see that as being James Bond. You know, I didn't see Daniel Craig as being that guy, you know, who could wear a tuxedo, who could seduce the truth out of somebody, out of a young lady or whatever. You know, it just didn't seem very Bond to me. You know what I mean? He didn't look the part. And that's not to say that the movies weren't good. You know, I think the first time I saw him, the first movie, I enjoyed it, but I enjoyed it the same way that I enjoyed the Bourne Supremacy, you know, something like that, that hyper action. But I just didn't see him as that Bond, the definitive Bond. Yeah. You know, so yeah. And also I think they got a little bit too personal with him. The thing with Lazenby, that was a great movie too, you know, wonderful movie. But you know something, with me and James Bond, I don't want to know a whole lot about him. You know, I don't want to know what goes on. Like I just like the coldness of him. Like you don't know what he's thinking, you don't know what he loves. You know, he's just got his mission. You know, if he's bedding down some chick, you don't know if he feels for her or anything like that. He's on his mission. You know, so that's kind of my understanding of James Bond. My enjoyment of James Bond is I don't know too much about him. I don't want to know too much about him. You know, so the best Bonds to me, they were that. And Roger Moore also, guys, you made a great case against Roger Moore. He definitely was not the best Bond at all when I look back on it. Yeah, way too comedic and too
Yeah.
old.
He is too old.
See,
as
I
Yoda would say.
respect that about Mark. I respect that about your feelings on Daniel Craig. That's a much better argument than others have said.
I said exactly what Mark said, just not as eloquent.
Well, thank you.
Yeah,
I
We're
don't
building a few words too.
We were
I
just
mean-
building a case throughout the entire thing.
I was building up to Mark's point so that it would just be, that his point.
So
would be
you
on
cut
top.
yourself short, is what you're saying.
I did. I
No.
wanted to make sure that Mark.
Everybody else got a chance. I got
Yeah,
you.
Tabitha was
exactly.
opening statements, and Mark is closing arguments.
Rogue
Ah, there you go.
sucking up to
No,
the
but
host.
That being
I
said, guys, I think that we have yet to see the worst James Bond. I'm sorry.
Oh,
to
I'm
say
that's
that.
true. That's going to be
Yeah.
coming up. That's going to be coming up. We'll go ahead and move
Right.
over to Dave here. So we'll get to it after Dani. Go ahead, Dave. Tell us the worst. The
Well,
worst.
it's hard for me to say any one of them is like the worst, but
Right. It's a heavy
other
word.
than saying Sean Connery and Never Say Never Again,
Which is-
Does that
Okay,
one
like a
count?
particular
It's
movie.
kind of like
Sucking up
not.
production. Does that one count?
but
Yeah.
it doesn't really
I was gonna
count
say-
that way. So, if that one doesn't count, man, I don't know. I mean, even
say
Diamonds
it
Are
counts.
Forever. When Sean Connery was getting old, he was just getting old, and he was getting old in Diamonds Are Forever also, and it just wasn't the same as Dr. No, From Russia with Love, Goldfinger. He just didn't have it the same way he did. He was getting old. It was like grandpa out there trying to, work his way through chicks and
So you're more about the worst displayed Bond, but not necessarily the actor. Like,
well, it's hard because I think all of them had, sometimes it's the era, because like you talk about some of the ones that Daniel Craig was in. Well, when they made Quantum of Solace or whatever it was, they were like all this green stuff was starting. So there all this green stuff going on in the storyline where this guy's trying to take the water from everybody and all this stuff. I mean, it all kind of, there's an agenda behind the stuff that we watch in the first place. So when it's being released, there's, what they green light.
Yeah.
But, the newer ones, though, we're all working together all the way up to Spectre, which a lot of people you don't realize that until you get to the end of it in a lot of ways. And so, but that's hard. I mean, probably, Roger Moore sucked in a lot of it. He did.
at the end of the day, we're all just like Roger Moore.
Well,
Yeah.
you can't save the world in a smoking jacket. I just don't see it happening. That's kind of, you might as well just worn one in house slippers and like waltzed around all the time while he was saving people. I don't know. It was just kind of weird, but I did like the gadgets because when I was a kid, that was one of the first things I saw. And that really got me into it because I liked Inspector
The
Gadget.
broom
as a kid.
telephone.
And, his magnetic watch and, just anything that was not what it seemed to me, Aston Martin, DB5 machine guns, whatever, all that stuff was cool. I just like the gadgets. I kind of like that era in a way, but I see now that I'm older, a lot of the reasons why a lot of them sucked also at the same time, I mean, but I love them all the same.
Even the cool gadgets, they turned them into hokey stuff. Like he's using the magnetic watch to unzip the dress. Like, right. And he shoves that gas pill in that one dude, and he like expands and like floats to the ceiling and blows up. It's like, come on. Yeah.
That freaked me out as a kid.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. You would mention Inspector Gadget was voiced by Don Adams, right?
Yep.
Who was probably Get Smart was probably one of the best parodies of James Bond
Yeah.
It was.
we ever got.
Oh, for sure.
So,
100%.
Interesting
I
tie-in.
still want to shoot.
Oh, yeah.
So Dani, we're doing the last worst James Bond. Do you agree with Dave? Or are you going to come out and be like guns
I'm about to get
blazing?
kicked off this stream.
Oh, well, you can't do
Uh-oh.
any worse than I have done. I mean, or can
Pierce
you?
Brosnan.
Oh, yeah, well,
Wow.
wow.
That would have been
You
my
just-
other one.
How's it feel? How's it feel, Tabitha? How's it feel?
Actually,
Wow.
I kind of expected it. I was really surprised
It's
that
Lee's
everybody was as accepting of my choice as they were, because I thought for sure everybody would be like, oh, gross, whatever. But no, okay, go ahead, Dani, tell us why.
Yes.
Rose leaving.
Well,
um,
don't let the door kick you on the way out.
Just-
No, I'm just kidding. Glenn, thank you for
it's-
being here, Ro.
it just really did not do it for me.
Mhm.
You know, he's supposed to be this super spy and, you know, tough and gruff, and Pierce Brosnan is not. And then you see him with his shirt off, and there's just
Hair everywhere.
Another
Hair.
sweater.
Yeah.
Oh, Sean Connery is covered in hair too.
No,
Sean
It's true.
Connery was the same way.
it's not just that. It's not just that. It
Just
was the
one
fact that
It's different in the
There's-
60s.
Fair enough.
It was expected in
90s,
the
you're supposed
60s.
to get a wax or
it's a
something like
very
that.
soft onesie.
It's pretty sweet.
The
Um,
onesie, okay. It was,
yeah.
that was like 5 minutes
With
in
the
one
belt.
film.
But it wasn't just, I don't mind body hair. It was that there was like nothing to him. There was nothing to him that screamed, hey, I've been trained as a weapon. My body is a weapon. It was like, oh, that is a flaccid 50-year-old man is what that is. He's
Which
got,
movie
like,
are you talking about?
Batwing coming off his
I'm pretty sure he
arm.
was 30 in the first film.
Wow. It's just,
Classic 50-year-old. Oh
it
my
just
God.
wasn't, it didn't scream trained by Her Majesty's government to kill.
Well,
But see, but to
I have to
Josh's
say that was a
point,
word
he's
I was
least-
not expecting at
he's
all.
least expected, right? So he would make the better spy because of the
Well,
role.
maybe if he quit running around telling everyone his name, he might have an easier time with the spy game. But you know, he's James Bond. So
He was
but it
40,
just
not
that,
50.
and that
Wow.
Christmas only comes one time a year thing. That was like, oh, ho, ho, ho. But
be like, I see what you did there. Yeah, it was kind of like high school humor. Yeah.
low hanging fruit, my friend. Low hanging fruit. Go back to hanging out with Mrs. Doubtfire.
God.
She's mad.
Man.
She is mad at
She's
Pierce
like
Brosnan.
legitimately upset.
Wow.
Wow.
That's
Not
just how I
surprised.
feel, okay?
No, it's
Man,
okay.
Blofeld is in the
So-
chat.
So basically, nothing you said that was based about Bond character. It's
Wow.
all about like it's not about his
Rogue is calling
Bond.
you out.
You're just having toxic eyes for the you're just
No.
one enemy.
Toxic.
That's what you're
I
saying.
said was
Wow.
Wow.
he didn't.
Rogue.
He brought the toxic
No,
word in.
Before I said before he took his shirt off, was that
But everything you said afterwards about his shirt off, like you didn't care about his Bondness.
It's important.
You just
Honestly,
cared
you guys
about
got
him
a
being
nerd
it
40-year-old.
took me a while to finish my sentence, so
I'm sorry.
that's why.
It's also because
Yeah.
you're eating like raisins or something, I think.
Chocolate.
Same thing.
But no, it's he just didn't seem to bring it through the screen that he was
Mhm.
this licensed to kill assassin tough guy
I can see that.
trained by the government. It just he seemed like a business dude.
Which
You
is a
know, it
spy.
just-
I don't know. The opening scene of GoldenEye was pretty tough.
Yeah.
Mm.
You know, when you hadn't seen James Bond in like a decade, he comes sprinting across a dam and does a nosedive off with like a punch.
Yeah.
That was
Right.
hard.
That was pretty darn cool.
That
Yeah,
was-
that was rad. That was
Well-
super cool.
Good thing I'm not a licensed, registered authority on James Bond. That's
Right.
just my personal opinion.
No,
And
it was a
not-
hot take. Yeah, for
Not
sure.
a big fan of the Pierce Brosnans.
Because he's
He was
flaccid,
almost
apparently.
movie Bond.
Because
He
he
wasn't a
was
tough guy.
He's flaccid and he's hairy and he's wimpy.
I mean, wow, that is a fantastic way to end that portion. So,
Diary
guys,
of a Wimpy Bond.
Diary of a Wimpy Bond. That's
Ah, love it.
You okay, Rogue?
you gonna
I'm
make it?
fine. Pierce Brosnan is my favorite. I just found that argument like it's just like, oh, he's not buff enough.
He doesn't
Okay.
want to sleep with him.
Yeah.
Listen, Dan's in here like chatting. He's like, I got a dad bod. I'm fine with a dad bod. I love a good dad bod. Okay, love it.
Well, we're getting a little
I'm
too
pretty sure-
personal here.
I'm pretty sure no one, when GoldenEye came out, called Pierce Brosnan flaccid. I'm pretty sure that was not like a comment that was used.
No.
Well, I
bet
feel thoroughly shamed,
Where
bro.
are we going?
I feel thoroughly
Clearly
shamed.
should. Oh my gosh. Well, on that note, everybody, wow. So why don't we move on then to who would be the best, like the next best and worst? We're going to couple this together just to save some time. We're running over a little bit here, but go ahead, and we're going to, like I said, the upcoming Bond film that will be around the corner, who knows when. Who would you say for yourself would be, you know, who you would look forward to? And it doesn't matter to me whether you do best first or worst, you know, worst first, either way. But I would say for me, okay, I'm so glad that there's not a lot of women here, because honestly, this week I would get like hurt quite a bit here, a lot of shame. But I think for me, I do not want to see this man as the next James Bond. Okay, I do not want to see
Henry
this.
Cavill. Yeah.
And yes, I did.
He's already in Mission Impossible.
And yes, I did
Man from
pick this
Uncle.
picture
Yep.
on point, on purpose. Like, yes, I did. I don't like this. It's
Yeah,
not
he
that
was
I
in
don't.
Mission Impossible. He's a traitor, so
He
Bond is
to
better
me,
than Ethan.
He is just. I heard that. He is just another like gorgeous, handsome English dude. Great.
Well, okay.
So for me, it doesn't, that would be for me. I say again that the worst is a heavy word here, but I really like, everybody is like, all the women I see on Twitter, they're like, oh, Henry Cavill, blah, 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 blah. He's just another
Gross. He
handsome
looks like
guy.
his brother.
He's
Well, it's
Superman.
Well, that's
It's
fine.
too predictable. It's too predictable.
Exactly. It is too predictable. It's too expected. I don't like that. Now, I know there's a lot of controversy because of the fact that, you know, some people have suggested different types of James Bonds, but I'll save that for a different thing. But I honestly, I would not. This would be more of like an interesting take. Something that I wouldn't mind seeing how this pans out would be seeing Luke Evans, honestly, as James Bond. Now, I know that this man doesn't prefer the ladies, but that's not stopped him before. So I'm just saying, I think he would make a very interesting James Bond. I don't think he would be the best choice.
Was he Gaston in Beauty and the Beast?
Yeah, he was.
He was, but he was also Dracula. Okay, all right, he was also Dracula. So
He was also a villain in Fast and Furious.
I think he's a good actor, and I think that he, for me, would couple together what Daniel Craig has with that intense masculinity, as far as less of the elegance that most, that the others have, versus that Luke Evans could also bring in the elegance that like Sean Connery and the other ones have.
But I thought you didn't like Daniel Craig and Sean Connery.
I don't. I'm saying that they got
She was a
together.
blend.
They got together, got a surrogate, had a baby, and made Luke Evans.
Okay.
He would probably do that.
So I'm just saying,
going on now.
I think that Luke Evans would make an interesting and a pretty good James Bond. Rogue.
All right. I'm going younger just because it's a franchise. So my personal hope is Jake O'Connell.
Okay.
He was in Unbroken.
I needed to find a
He was
picture.
the lead in that film Unbroken. He's been in a lot. He's also in the SAS Rogue TV show, I think, on BBC. I'm sorry, I'm bringing someone that is a relative I know.
I'm
that
trying to
probably
look
none
for
of
a
you
picture
know.
of him, and I'm getting rugby players. So, like,
No,
So why?
yeah.
I'll bring him up.
But why would he be your choice?
He's right age. He's about 30. He's a little bit older.
Is it Jack O'Connell?
30. He's a little
Jack
older.
O'Connell. Yeah, maybe it's
Jack O'Connell. Okay, I'm sorry.
He's actually going to be in the. He's in Ferrari. Okay, cool. He just seems like he looks like a Bond we haven't. He goes along with Daniel Craig a little bit. He's a little bit more gruff, but he has a little bit more refined features in terms of aesthetics. He seems like he could put on some muscle mass to go along. He's an unknown. He's someone that has growth as an actor, which I would like to see Bond grow. And I want to see Bond where we haven't seen him before, training. I want to see Bond like right coming out of. Why is the bougiest pick? I want to see Bond's like. I want to see Bond in training. I want to see him going through the 007 program. I don't want to see
different.
I don't want to see Bond in his prime. I want to see Bond way back at the beginning, and we haven't gotten that ever
in Casino Royale, though.
Sure
we didn't
get a cartoon
like
about little boy Bond or something like that. Didn't they have a cartoon?
Yeah,
James Bond.
That was James Bond Jr. That was
his nephew.
I mean, you get James Bond Jr. What more do you want?
I want a Bond
Marc
that,
on that one.
because I loved the first Kingsman movie.
Yes.
And I think if you bring in a little bit of the first Kingsman movie with Bond, but keep it serious, and you have a awesome franchise possibility with someone who's only 30, you're going to get at least 5 to 8 films out of him by the time he reaches 50. That's my opinion for the best
go
choice.
The Roger Moore, route.
Yeah, and the worst choice,
Or deep fake.
the Hollywood choice, I think, would be Maisie Williams. I don't know why, but I do not want to see Bond become a female. I do not want to see Bond. I don't think
hadn't
Bond
heard about this rumor.
Wait, did you really say Arya Stark as James?
Yeah,
Bond?
the worst possible choice.
Oh,
I
worst
think.
possible. Okay, yeah. That
The worst
Oh,
possible
yeah.
Hollywood choice.
That would,
I think
yeah.
would be Maisie Williams.
would be
Or
horrid.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking what Hollywood would do now in terms of. I don't want that. So give me some unknown guy who's doing a military show right now. So he has the gun work and training. And I think that's something that could work. He also will be cheap, which means they'll actually afford him to keep him going for a while, because I'm thinking realistically here.
You're diving a little too deeply there. We're not talking about all that.
This is like a wish list thing, man.
That totally makes sense. Totally.
But those are my best and worst, my hope and my fear for Bond.
I can see that. Joshua, your turn.
Well, it kind of depends on whether they're going to go ahead and go through with this woke idea or not. If they do, I probably won't watch it. I don't like the idea of them talking about possibly Tom Holland.
Tom Holland, yeah.
Is that Spider-Man?
That's Spider-Man. Yeah, that's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I mean, I like him as Spider-Man.
That's James Bond Jr. right there.
Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah, it is. Man, it's kind of tough because for me, a lot of the better actors are older because they have more experience, especially for a character as well developed as James Bond. I think it would be interesting, and everybody's probably going to hate me or look. I think Andrew Lincoln.
Andrew Lincoln. What's he in?
Walking Dead.
Rick Grimes from The Walking Dead. The sheriff.
In his late
he's actually
50s.
British.
He is British.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's got so much range.
Dave's like, he's got curly hair.
He doesn't have enough of it.
You can straighten it. It's okay.
He's getting old too, isn't he?
He is getting old, but this is all wish list stuff because everybody's wanting to have Idris Elba do it as well, but he's getting old.
He's 50. Andrew Lincoln's 49. That is way too old to start a franchise.
It is.
Wow, ageist much, right? Ageist?
But this is my here.
But again, I don't really know a lot of young actors that could really do it.
Yeah.
I'm glad he didn't say.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's just me. I mean, I don't. I really don't know of a really. There's not a lot of young actors that are really any good anyway.
Fair point.
Yeah.
Or you just have to look.
I mean, it takes a while for them to actually get good.
Well, the problem is that Hollywood is recycling a lot of the prime time actors. I kind of agree with Rogue that I would like to see some fresh blood, if you will.
Oh, I would too, as long as they
I know
actually
that.
have the acting chops to back it.
I'm going along with that. It's like I agree. I don't really know a lot of younger actors because they keep
that's
using
my
older
thing.
actors. So
That's my thing. I don't know any old or young actors, so I kind of go with the older actor, I guess.
So what about you, Lee?
My turn.
Yep.
So I don't want to see Henry Cavill. I'm with you.
Thank you.
One.
Okay, we can be friends.
We
now.
finally agree. You can move our screen together. I don't want to see Henry Cavill. He's Superman. He's typecast. Elba, too old. All these are bad choices. I don't want to see a woman become Bond. That's just lazy writing to me. Go write another script or another movie for a female lead. Give her the due, make the character great, and put that movie out. Leave Bond to what was written by Ian Fleming. The best choice for the next James Bond is a person that nobody knows. I want a complete no name. I don't want to know anything about them. I want them to walk on set and just blow the casting directors away with their audition, and then that's who they become. They kick off the reboot of the character. So I don't have a name. I want a complete no name. I don't want to know anybody that's done anything significant before. I want
the John Doe,
complete new person to take on the Bond character, and they've
proven
they can do that. There's been shows that have come out like Game of Thrones or House of the Dragon with actors that we've not heard of before, and all of a sudden we fall in love with the characters that they portray. And we want to know more about them as actors, and they can do the same thing with Bond, and that's who I want to see take the reins.
Yeah, absolutely. CR2, absolutely. What about you, Mark? Your thoughts on that?
So your answer is a nobody, and that I can see that somebody who can own the role, straight from the beginning. I've heard a lot. I've heard Loki. Tom Hiddleston. I'm not going to say Cavill because up until now I thought maybe, you know what I mean? But you guys, I don't know. I mean, I think I would like to see him get a shot. I know he's Superman. I know, but at the same time, I think he could pull it off,
No doubt.
Yeah.
He did it, Man Up to Uncle.
Yeah, I used to think Tom Hardy, but I think he's kind of on the short side for that. Give him some eyebrows, maybe Matt Smith.
Yeah, I did think about him. Yeah, I did think about him.
Some eyebrows.
And the worst, I'm going to say it. The worst would be a race swap. I don't want to see that. I feel it's my responsibility to say that because they will try to act like this is something that like all black people would want or whatever, but absolutely not. James Bond is supposed to be a white British guy. And someone who's watched, pretty much all of those movies, that I would not like that at all. It would just feel too gimmicky. I think the actor would deserve better. I think the character deserves better. So that's a no on that. That would be the worst. Also a gender swap, so yeah, that's about where I stand on it. Probably Matt Smith, maybe, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you could do.
But I like the idea of the nobody too.
I do too.
Doctor Who, honey.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I would say it was Doctor Who. Yeah.
That being said, Dave, who do you think? Obviously not Matt Smith.
No one who's been Doctor Who. Definitely worst anything outside the original character. Like all this stuff they're trying to do and talking about. I like it the way it is, just because it's what I've always known. I was always kind of a big fan of Tom Hardy. But I mean, we're all getting older now, and I've thought that for, it seems new, but I've been thinking that 10, 15 years. So we're just getting, but I think he would be a really good choice for what I'd like to see. Cavill, I mean, I think Cavill would almost be like a throwback to the Connery style. Which I think he could do it. He wouldn't be my choice. It would be interesting, like he was saying, to dive further back into his youth, he said 30s. I would like to go into the 20s because, you know, James Bond was orphaned at like 12. So he's been training for this stuff since he was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And to get more into that would, I think, would be really interesting. So I think the 20s might be kind of fascinating. But I don't know any young actors. I don't even know who they are, much less to pick one to say who might be a good choice.
Right.
But
You don't think Rob Pattinson would make a great Bond?
Okay. I was
Batman.
that I don't like to say it, but he did really good in Tenet, to where I think he could maybe do it if they chose him. I don't get to choose, so
Right.
it is what it is. If they chose him, I could see him doing it because of what I've seen him do. Had he not done Tenet, I'd be like, ugh, gross. But you know, and Twilight just.
Everybody's got to start somewhere.
Yeah, fair enough. Get that money. I kind of thought if it wasn't for the fact the dude is 5'5", Harry Potter.
Daniel Radcliffe?
Daniel Radcliffe?
Radcliffe.
Because he's a good actor. And
Look
I
at
think
me.
it would make him stretch his legs. Hey, okay, listen. Have you seen the Weird Al movie?
Oh yeah,
No.
watch the weird.
Not yet.
Dude is ripped.
Yeah.
He's in a fantastic shape. I never would have thought it. But like I said, if he wasn't 5'5" or 5'1", whatever he is,
Are sure?
that's what kind of kills him.
He's shorty.
He's a good actor.
Maybe Wolverine.
What
You don't have to be
no,
ripped.
no,
Here's
no.
Robert. We're talking about
Wolverine.
No.
What about
Would-
Jeremy Irvin from Warhorse?
Oh, he's gonna be Wolverine.
Well, there's
No. I want Taron Egerton as darn Wolverine.
I'm just going to put
He's
this
gonna
out
be
That
there.
works too.
When I think of James Bond, I'm not thinking a six-pack. Okay, like that's not even on the top of my list when I think of James Bond. So I don't even when you said, "Well, the dude's ripped," I'm like, so.
Well, he didn't. I mean,
I told you,
he's
Dan.
not. He's not Roger Moore. He's not Putty or something. You
He's
know.
not.
The man is made out of clay. Well, that would be Dave's take. Dani, what about you?
Pardon me. Dave and I have talked about this a lot, actually, and we both were like Tom Hardy. He'd be a great James Bond. He'd be really good at it. The man can act his butt off. If you've seen,
That's why it looks so good. Yeah.
Taboo stuff like that.
oh,
He's a-
Legend, he played he played a set of twins that had totally different personalities, and you forget that it's one actor playing both roles throughout that movie. The point is, he's a great actor. He's a physical actor as well. He's in great shape. He can pull it off. I would love to see him as Bond.
Tom Hardy.
He's 45.
I don't care.
Tom Hardy was Venom. He
Yeah,
played
but
Venom,
look how
right?
great he
Yeah.
looks for his age.
I think
No,
he'd be too aggressive.
Again,
as a
I want to
Bond.
bring it back to reality here. I don't think a franchise will start with a 45-year-old right now.
No, which is you're
How
right.
old is Daniel Craig? How
Daniel
old is
Craig,
Roger
with-
Moore? How old?
Roger. Well, okay, so the oldest one was, I think, 40 that they started off with. Sean Connery was 32.
So you're saying
even
there's
Luke,
a chance.
Luke Evans is 43 right now, so he would be towards the older sides because Pierce Brosnan was 40 when he started Bond. I just think it's a dangerous gamble right now to start with someone at 45.
I'd like to see something different. I agree.
Right,
But
but
younger James Bond would be great. I just don't know anybody that I could think of. That would
Yeah.
we were
And I do
talking
agree
about
with that,
my
too.
opinion.
Right. Dani hadn't finished yet.
She has a floor.
She has the floor.
No, I think he's a great actor, and yeah, he's older and all of that, but he takes very good care of himself. He's in excellent shape. We are aging. I don't know if you guys have noticed this. Look at a picture of a 30-year-old 30, 40 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's going to blow your mind.
Okay.
Like, we are
Roseanne
aging so-
Barr was my age when she starred in Roseanne. Okay.
Yeah.
Don't you dare tell me that I look the equivalent of Roseanne Barr.
Exactly.
That's not the best example.
That is a
Well, no,
perfect
perfect
example.
It's
Because she did
perfect.
not take the
That
best
puts it all
care
in
of her.
perspective.
We are aging
I've earned
so
these
much
gray hairs.
slower
I don't
these
care.
days. We're aging
They're
better these days. So I don't think it's out of the question, out of the realm of possibility that Tom Hardy could
Mhm.
be the next Bond despite his age. Now, worst pick, definitely Tom Holland. Why? No.
It's the right
No.
race.
Daddy do.
He looks like he's 12. Are we doing a 12-year-old Bond? If we're doing a 12-year-old Bond,
Well, if
then,
we're gonna do the young Bond, then yeah, we could,
Right.
like in the
Yeah.
very early stages, hasn't
Yeah,
trained yet.
15-year-old Bond.
Yeah.
think-
Just coming out of his training pads and everything.
Yeah.
I think the
Still
problem
got his
is.
Squirt
I'm
gun.
sorry, Danny. Go ahead.
That's okay.
Not trying to
Segue.
step on anybody, but I think the
The
problem,
problem is
in-
Tom Holland is never going to look old, though. He's just going to look weird. As
Excellent
Benjamin
point,
Button.
Mark.
I think a concern of getting an older actor this day and age, it takes longer to produce the films. Back in the 60s, they were putting out a film every year.
They were quick.
You know, they were cranking them out because they didn't have all this crazy editing and the CGI and the
Right.
special effects and all this stuff. Now it takes years to produce a film. And before you know it, if you grab an actor that's in their 40s, by the time you get to the third film, they're like, look, I can't do
I'm
this
tired.
anymore. I can't,
Right.
They turn into
can't do
Harrison
these
Ford.
stunts and whatever that's
unless
expected
it's
of them.
unless it's Tom Cruise. Tom
Yeah,
Cruise
right.
has got to be.
Yeah, for some
Oh,
reason,
that's
yeah.
true.
His name, he might appear. Shh.
Yeah, we can't talk.
I will say this: Jacob Ironside brought up a good name with Richard Madden.
Oh,
That-
yes,
that's
I
true.
did have him on my list. Yes, I did.
Yeah,
I
Game
think
of
he's in-
Thrones, Richard Madden, he was
Oh,
Rob
yeah.
Stark, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
Oh,
I think.
yeah,
I
yeah,
think he
yeah.
could.
Oh,
Play,
yeah.
I think he could play it well.
Grey Wolf.
He has that
Ned Stark's
air
son.
to him,
Oh,
a little
Young
snobby.
Hmm.
The hair is extremely curly, I think, though.
I don't know.
You can straighten
Right.
it.
He's got curly hair though.
Look, Justin Timberlake got a perm back in the 2000s, so we can
I
definitely.
know. It
straighten
looked like he put
his
oodles and noodles on his head.
Yeah. It's gonna be May. Yeah. Well, this was an awesome conversation that I enjoyed, you know, despite some people having bad taste. But just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. Everybody to their own opinion. Obviously, we all grew up at
It's going in the trash.
I was actually referring to Lee, but that's okay, Danny. You can hate me. But
I knew what you meant.
you knew what you meant. No, I'm super thankful that you all wanted to be here. Thankful for everybody that participated in the chat. You guys were really awesome. Love the feedback that you were giving to us. And yeah, does anybody have any closing thoughts about Bond before we head out from tonight's show? Danny's got
Yes,
her both
Tabitha's
hands in the air.
opinions are
I
wrong.
have so many. Okay, real quick. I'm just gonna do like rapid
Wow.
fire. Stop telling everyone who you are. Wear an actual disguise, man. You're a spy. Why does every woman he sleeps with dies? And why are there so many? How has he not died from like 3,000 different venereal diseases? I have so many James Bond questions, but that's, you know, what I got for now.
Because it's old man strength.
It's all
Old man
men.
That's all. The
Madeline didn't
Quick
die.
question.
yeah.
Quick question. Okay.
I'm just gonna say I think it should be a series and not a film. I think we should do a
Well,
series.
if you went the route of doing the young James Bond, I was going to say that should be a series.
Like I think that could be an awesome HBO Max or whatever it is, prestige
'Cause I-
television series.
What was that one
And-
show? What was it called?
Interesting.
Snap. What was it called? Nikita,
Well,
I think it was.
Nikita?
Yeah,
with-
remember that
Yeah.
where it had the training and all that kind of stuff. And it was a series.
92.
Yeah. Do something kind of like that with James Bond would be interesting.
That would be pretty cool. Yeah.
Quick
Mark
question for the
had-
panel, guys. Favorite James Bond theme song?
Ooh.
Oh gosh,
Goldeneye.
man.
Goldeneye.
man.
I like
Tina-
Goldfinger
Tina
because
Turner?
of the way Dave sings it when it comes on. Gold.
Tina Turner
Man,
I thought Adele rocked.
She did.
I was gonna say probably Adele, although I'm loving right now the Casino Royale theme.
Yeah.
Hmm. No,
My
Tina
all-time
Turner
favorite,
for
guys.
me.
Which one was
Who?
that? Tina Turner?
Goldeneye.
Tina
Oh,
Turner.
Tina
sang
Turner, yeah, it was Goldeneye, yeah.
She sang
Yeah.
Goldeneye.
A View to
Dun,
Kill.
dun,
No one's gonna say Louis Armstrong.
Duran A View to Kill. I think my favorite.
Good one. Good
Louis
one.
was good. You know, with
I gotta say, for me, I gotta say, nobody does it better.
yeah.
You know, because fellas, if you can get your girl to sing that to you, you've lived. Think of some of the, think,
Man, it's preaching right now, man.
think of some of the
I'm
things that she says in that song, man.
No,
Gospel according to Mark. With a C.
I gotta give some
Yeah.
love to Tom Jones and Thunderball just because like you don't get that many Bond songs that are male. Like you have a lot of female vocalists for Bond songs, and Tom Jones, guy always knocks it out of the park. He has great.
Oh
vocals.
yeah,
Tom Jones.
Thunderball was killer. I agree with that. And Goldfinger.
Yeah.
When you hear
Yeah.
Goldfinger start, you know that's
the
a
start of
Bond song.
Goldfinger is classic. Just the big band.
Yeah,
crashing.
Shirley Bassey killed it.
Yes.
you've not heard it till you've heard his rendition.
Oh, stop.
I'm surprised that nobody's brought up Moonraker. I mean, well, come on, guys.
Shirley
Yeah.
Bassey even hated that song, so nobody.
Okay, quick question. Did the nerd at the end of Moonraker have braces also or not? I
did
swore
have
she
braces.
did.
She did have braces.
She did.
I thought she did, yeah.
But
She had
in
braces.
if you go back,
Did Jaws rip them out of her mouth?
this is a big Mandela effect. Sorry, but apparently she does not. I thought she did. I swore to God she did, and I've seen footage where I think now she does not have braces.
Whoa.
It's weird.
Uh-oh.
It bothers
Nobody
me.
wants to go back and watch Moonraker because that movie was terrible.
Hey man, they have
Take your word for it.
It's cool.
That's wigging me out, man. I have vivid memories of her having that.
I
Go
thought
back
so
and
too.
watch it. I'm
She doesn't.
Wow.
You got an image?
Yeah,
I don't, but I've seen it, and it bothers me to this day because I want to go back and watch it again because that I've seen it's weird because that was the whole point. He
Yeah.
had metal teeth. She had braces.
It's really poor quality. It's the biggest photo that I could find.
Nope.
Like people have brought it up,
Huh.
but like she is actually not wearing braces. She just apparently has really shiny teeth.
What type of wizardry is this?
You see
Yeah,
what I'm
I
talking
know.
about? I swear, when I was a kid, I remember her having those braces.
Yes.
Are we sure it wasn't
Yes.
edited out?
It could be.
Yeah.
You know, it's the
They're just
George
trying to
Lucas
mess with us.
edition.
I don't know.
Yeah,
So.
Somebody was offended, so they went in and
I've seen pictures of both ways, so I'm not sure.
Oh, the mysteries of Hollywood. Well, again, everybody, thank you so much for participating. I will meet you all backstage in just a wee bit, but I just wanted to say thank you for being here. Awesome discussion this evening. Fantastic. And just going to go ahead and say thank you, everybody, for watching. Please be sure to hit the like button. Subscribe if you're new here. And if you are not new here, be sure to hit the notification bell so that you get notified of all of our upcoming videos. We stream live every Sunday and Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on Inside the Booth with my awesome co-host coming back on Sunday, Dan the Law Arena. So if you have missed him, don't worry. He is coming back with a great show on Sunday for you. And if you want to find ways to support the channel, you can find ways down in the description box below. And of course, be sure to subscribe and check out all the social media links for my guests. They're awesome and wonderful people. Have a great rest of the evening.
What is this place? What is it that you do here? Merchandising. Merchandising, merchandising, where the real money from the movie is made.